Hey there. I'd love to say there's a tsunami coming, but it's actually already here. Artificial intelligence and all the things that are derived from it are poised to and are already changing everything about our society and how we interact with each other as human beings. And in the not too distant future, things just won't look the same. So my name is Russ Camarda. I'm a filmmaker in New York and just an all-around regular guy like you who's thinking about these things and how they're going to change everything for all of us. And I think it's important that we take a few moments every day from now on to just remember what it is to be human, to look back at ourselves and what it is that makes us what we are as we start to integrate this non-human intelligence into our lives in a very intimate way. So I'm going to just throw out these conversations when I can. Please, if you like them, please subscribe to the channel. It helps keep this thing going. And with that, let's talk about what it is to be human. Speaking on memory, the flaws, the imperfections that we are also what make us human. You know, I've been an actor for 30-something years and a filmmaker, and my favorite parts of that craft are the truthful accidents, the times when the lines aren't right, something is dropped, something is missed, there's an imperfection in the lens, something rough around the edges. I love that when it shows up in the craft, because there's a truth in it. And it's the same with us as humans. We're not perfect. And that's where we differ from, you know, the technology that we're creating. You know, when we tell a story, you know, if I tell a story now about something that happened, and then 5 years from now I tell that story, and then 10 years after that I tell that story is going to change a little bit. I'm going to add color. You know, the fish I caught is going to get a little bigger. The colors get a little either more vibrant or they fade, or we start to embellish, we start to take away, the story changes, but it changes in a way that how you're telling it is more evoking the sense of that time, is more evoking in your listener, whoever's listening to your story. It's evoking the feeling of being of that time. Artificial intelligence is going to have perfect memory. The recollection will be perfect every time. And as a result, the story it tells will never change. And it may evoke a sense of something the first time you read it or hear it or it tells you. But that's it. It'll never be any different than that. It will die there in that perfection. Humanity has a way of kind of bringing a living, breathing being to every moment of your memory and of your existence. You know, also as an actor, there's a tool actors use called effective memory. Some use it. If you've heard of method actors, that's one of the tools they use in their technique, and it's used in a lot of other techniques as well. But what it is the idea of it being, if you're in a scene where you have to be sad, let's say, and you need to bring up that emotion quickly, usually it's good for film work because you need to bring stuff up quickly. Sometimes it's out of continuity. You need to bring up that emotion quickly. You access a part of your own experience that brings up that emotion. And a lot of people outside of the craft think that means you think about when you were sad, you know, when your dog died or whatever, and you bring that up. But it's you don't go directly at the memory using effective memory. You don't go directly at the picture of you crying with your dog dying or whatever it is. What you're doing is you're trying to remember that time and place, but you're trying to remember the sense of that time and place, what the carpet felt like, what the smell of the coffee in the cup was like. And because human beings, we kind of lock our emotions and our sense of time in our physical senses, how we perceive the world. We kind of freeze those things in our physiology. And if you can access your affective memory, your sense memory of that time, you're not intellectualizing the memory. You're not thinking about the time your dog died. You're feeling the time your dog died. And now the memory is coming up in your senses. And now you can apply the script, the text that you're working on over top of that. So the feeling is real, but the text is not what you said when your dog died. The text is the script. So you're not thinking about that. You're applying the words to this released memory. That's a very human thing. The fact that we perceive the world and we lock the truth of our emotions in our physiology. Artificial intelligence right now can't do that. There's no interaction and sense of something. It's either is or isn't. You know, it's on or off. It's a fact or it's not a fact. Where humans are a lot messier, and we interpret, and our physiology kind of creates our sense of being and sense of self. And I think that's vital to understanding that. So, and you, by the way, have had, whether you're an actor or not, you've had affective memory, and it's a beautiful thing. Just that time you're driving in your car and a certain song comes on, and that song comes on, and the way the light is hitting the street sign or the back of the leaves of the trees, a certain time of day and a certain temperature of a breeze at the same time that song comes on, and suddenly you're back at a time when you're 17 or whatever, and you're literally time traveling. You're there. All of it feels like it's right there. That's an incredible human thing. And you know, right now, artificial intelligence can't do that, at least that we understand. And what happens when you do that is not only do you go back in time to this place to feel this thing and that moment again, but you're still here in the present moment. So you're bringing that back with you here, re-ingesting it, re-digesting it, and now it's part of you here and there. And then if you're with somebody and you tell them about it, your story of this feeling of affective memory you just had is transferred to them, and they take that and interpret it through their sense of time and place. And maybe they look at the light at that particular moment and they go somewhere completely different. But now there's a neural network of humanity that's built, sharing this stuff with each other, that makes us realize and reconnect to something more than we are by ourselves in this little place, in this little body, alone. And that's huge. So what is it like to be? What is the hard problem of consciousness? What is it like to be? That's what it's like to be, and to share that being with someone else.